Well, he should just operate under the assumption that he's live all the time.
Yeah. That's quite a phrase, actually. Excuse me, I have to stop the dog from eating the wicker.
Yeah.
Quick check, has everyone swallowed their Valium?
We're not having one of those shows again, Brett. No NPR voice.
All right.
Mine tasted like almonds.
Good. All right, so I've got the link here. Let me fix the things that need to be fixed.
Okay.
Jeremy, are we live and nationwide now?
It looks
we are.
like it, just as
think
of
we are.
now.
Oh, Psycho's reporting for duty, and I'm not
Yeah,
spelling that with a
duty.
U. Hello, all.
Hi.
We're a little late to begin tonight. It's my fault. Well, it's my son's fault. It's my fault for having children.
Was there anything destroyed today, or what's the destruction report?
No destruction that I can think of. Just a very tired kid who still hasn't gone to bed at 10 p.m. This always happens on Wednesday night, too.
Weird.
He's all keyed up just because I need him to be quiet and sleeping.
Funny how that happens.
No, I said no NPR voice.
You're right. You're right. You did say that, and I was wondering if you'd notice. You're very attentive.
Attentive? No. Observant, yes.
Okay, there's that.
I couldn't give...
Right.
Yeah, never mind. I don't care about your needs. I just want you to do what I fucking say.
All right. Let me hang on a second. Let me just medicate.
My laptop
Yep.
keeps saying, no internet secured, no internet secured. You fucker. This happens when it resumes from sleep sometimes. I love Windows so much. Rebooting.
Have you hit it enough? Have you hit it enough?
Tell it not to turn the NIC off for power savings.
That makes sense for a laptop. Just never shut
Yeah.
anything off.
Well, no,
Can you
can
imagine-
set some things off.
Imagine Windows 11 as a person coming to your door trying to sell you. Have you heard about our trusted platform module?
Right. What is it? Oh, it's great.
It's great.
Everything you
guys are
do
gonna
will go
love it.
through it. Wait,
You're going to love it.
you just have to trust us. 'Cause
Now,
we're not going to do
you're not
anything
gonna be able to-
nefarious.
You're not going to be able to buy it from me, but there's lots of places you
Yeah,
can buy
like,
it.
so this is a product from you? Oh, no, it's a third
no.
party.
But you're going to need
Uninterested.
it.
This is where, unfortunately, Apple's approach makes sense because they control the hardware. And if they want to say, starting with Big Sur, it requires, version 2 of our hardware chip or whatever version of the operating system that began with.
Yep.
Well,
Then suddenly a lineup appears outside of Apple stores as people wait to buy the new hardware that'll work.
Hey, essentially they did that already with their Secure Enclave on Macs now. I can't remember the name of the chip. T2. It's the T2 chip.
I
essentially.
literally just
That's
said
what
that.
is.
Where have you been?
I was outside. I don't know if you
center.
noticed,
Okay.
but I just sat down.
No.
I was rushing
'Cause
around.
the joke
mowing
I was
lawn.
making yesterday was that
No.
Microsoft had to do TPM2 because Apple has T2. Because
Yes.
Apple does not have T1.2, they couldn't do TPM 1.2. This is my logic. In my head, this is why Microsoft did not require TPM 1.2.
I
you
can
write that down
literally
someplace?
visualize
I didn't read it.
the marketing team saying this and saying, yes, that's perfect. That makes absolute sense.
They're sick of Apple rubbing it into their noses. Guys, do you realize, Microsoft team, if you're watching, do you realize that you have more than 90% market share? It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry
enough.
about what Apple's doing. Don't worry. Just stop looking at Apple. Stop centering your dock. It's a start menu. Put the start button back where it was, or make it an option. Stop trying to be Apple. Stop forcing people to use a TPM chip.
I don't want to criticize you, Sebastian. Yeah, yes, I do. Your mic's too hot. Everyone's complaining about it.
Okay,
Everyone
that's fine.
is
Hey,
complaining
as long
about it.
as we figure that out now. Okay.
It's too hot. Too hot.
Let me know.
It's too hot.
Yeah,
You're now you're a
really
little
is.
soft. You're a little.
We can't have it all.
I know.
I'm getting a feel for this. I haven't used this preamp in years. This is
Isn't-
a preamp from like 2000,
Isn't there a
3?
happy medium?
2004. It's a mobile pre-USB from M Audio. I need to update. It's my only XLR preamp right now, and this is a dynamic XLR mic, the high LPR 40. Now I'm too low. Well,
Well, part of it is it's extremely directional.
I know I have to play. I have to play Ryan
Yeah.
tonight, where I don't move at all. Here, I'll bring it around and point it at my. This is a horrible angle.
Oh, that's better. That's
There you
better.
go.
Just
Do the
had
Leo.
to do it.
Leo uses his arm mic, his boom down and the mic up. Maybe this is.
You're
why.
probably going to have to adjust your levels again.
What are you talking about?
Stop it. You told me to stop it. You told me not to do that.
I told
Oh,
you
but-
not to do it.
Oh, but you can.
I can do whatever I want, Brett. I'm the host. Don't you realize that?
Yes, yes, you have all the power. Yes.
Not really.
Phantom power.
No
And
phantom power
not really
required. This
there.
is a dynamic mic.
Oh, it's dynamic. No phantom power required.
No phantom power is involved right now. I used to use a cloud lifter with this, but that was back in the days where I was trying to be fancy.
All right. What do you guys
Okay,
want
let's
to do
get started.
tonight? You want to do a show?
Yeah, let's do a show. I'm
No, I don't watch hockey.
Nah.
I
Okay.
want to play video games.
Where's the dog?
Hey, nobody will know if you're
Too
playing
hot
games
to
all week.
play video
broadcast.
games.
The dog is a little too much for this right now.
Oh, okay. I hear just give him some wicker. I hear that's the trick.
No, no, no.
Let's actually look at my levels. They are a little low. La 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 levels. Why is there no
Sibilance.
gain on this at all? That's better, I guess.
Sibilance. Yeah, you're right there. You're in the zone.
Okay.
Don't touch it anymore.
Do I
Stop
have
touching
internet
it.
on my laptop yet? This is a horrible setup. Let's just go back to the HyperX mic.
Jeremy, I actually did have a power interruption earlier. Just had a huge lightning strike that shut off all the lights.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Yeah, it was.
I'd
And everything.
pay money for that.
It actually beat the UPS. It actually shut my monitors off. Everything was powered through the UPS with AVR, and it still shut everything off. It was a close strike.
We just finally, after 4 days, went below 100 freedom degrees.
Oh,
I would
Oh,
pay
yeah, I
good
s-
money for a thunderstorm.
I saw Sebastian's
Hey, it
comment.
rained here today, and it went down to
Tunisia.
63 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh,
That would be.
It was nice. It was very nice
Gorgeous.
today. My tomatoes are loving the weather.
oh,
Well,
you
I
should
bet
bring
they
those
are.
in. Big podcast hit, bringing in the tomato plants.
Yes. People love it.
Once they get a
can't
little bit
enough.
bigger,
All right, cool.
bigger.
All right, let's do a show.
All right, let's do it.
Do we have any more like dust shield type content?
Kind of.
That was good.
Oh,
It's liquid shield, but it's not dust shield.
ah,
The dust shield was great. That was an easy pick for the thumbnail last week. I had never seen that before.
that's amazing.
That was 2 years before I joined this.
Hmm.
All right. In 3. Hey guys, welcome back to the PC Perspective Podcast. We're up to 635 episodes this week, which is June 30, 2021. I'm Sebastian Peak.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Brett Van Spruenberg. No NPR.
No NPR voice. Good. Keep
No.
the energy level high. And you can find out when we go live for events like this exact podcast recording session that we're broadcasting live on YouTube for some reason. I think we're masochists. But you can go to pcper.com/subscribe and find out when we're going to do stuff like this in advance. Usually about an hour in advance. It was about half an hour tonight. And support the site at patreon.com/PCPer. Become one of our patrons. A patron of the PC Per Arts.
The patrons are holding strong with us. I
Excellent.
have to say, respect.
They're
Thank
not
you
leaving
very
in
much.
droves. That's good.
They're
That's
not
That's
leaving
what
in
we want to
droves.
hear.
Weirdly enough, no matter how many times we do this show, they're still with us. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. I don't have anybody new to announce, but if somebody goes in and changes their name, I will definitely read what you wrote, and then I might read it out loud.
That's confusing. Let's move to the most important segment of the week. Laramie, Wyoming. Josh, switching cameras. Burger of the week.
Okay, so this was different than I've really ever had there, but it's the concept is not hard. This week it apparently was the pizza burger, 2 buns, 2 patties, fresh mozzarella, marinara sauce, and then topped with pepperoni slices. It was a burger and a pizza combined. And again, that was a huge chunk of mozzarella. You can't really see it, but it was there. And the fries were okay, just merely okay today. I didn't really have any of the nice, good, fat ones. They're all pretty small, like the leftovers almost when you're getting the end of the fries and you need to fry up some more. But other than that, it was good, but I'm not just a huge regular pizza fan anyway, but you had to try it. But it was still good, and there will be people who like it. I just might never get it again.
Did you block
like
me?
the
I can't
slap.
load your tweets.
No, didn't block
Josh
you.
in a fit of pique.
It's funny coming from you.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
of the last name. I get it. Are we ready to
Just had
start?
explain it.
Why would I block Jeremy? I wouldn't.
Well, I mean, there's many reasons, but
Ah,
Apparently, you guys sound alike, by the way.
Yes, that was the strangest comment. Like, really?
It's-
The two most disparate sounding voices on the podcast sound the same. Maybe they were being
I did-
sarcastic.
I didn't know there was 4 of you. Weird.
My first time watching, the
So
two guys on the
strange.
bottom, I thought it was one guy.
Well, you know what? There was that mashup once.
yep.
I don't know who did that
Oh.
Photoshop.
That was last
I
week.
still
where you
have that
actually
picture kicking around somewhere.
you did the
No,
face
no,
fade
it was
last week.
it was the half and half Jeremy,
Oh,
half
that one.
me.
Oh God, who was that from? Wasn't
Can't
Burke? Was
remember.
it?
Might have been.
Oh, yeah, that was a while ago.
Just a bit.
Okay, that was probably an edit point. Are we ready to start dumping on Microsoft? I know I am, but let's talk about Windows 11, the debacle that is Windows 11, an operating system that isn't even out yet. There's a dev version out. We had the big announcement a week or so ago.
It was more like leaked. It really wasn't out.
Well, they had an event on the 24th, I believe. And
was
then-
it advance? Could you get an advance copy?
Well, it's in the dev channel, and that version
Yeah,
doesn't
okay.
have any special requirements. You can run it on a lot of things.
Oh,
But of course, if you've followed the Windows 11 saga so far, you know that they are rather controversially requiring, among other things, an 8th generation or newer Intel processor. Zen 1 CPUs are excluded, and you have to have a TPM 2.0 chip, not just 1.2, which has been around a lot longer, as in more boards, but 2.0, which is, I think, a standard that wasn't even ratified in 2015 and has not been common since about 2018, in laptops
Oh, well.
especially.
Dell,
I mean,
Dell has a
shorthand.
lot of 2.0.
Yeah.
But
Lots.
in the last 3 years, right? Did they have a lot of TPM
No,
2.0
but
in 2000?
we've got 5-year-old laptops that have TPM 2.0.
Okay,
Yep.
hey, good
And
for
that
Dell then.
laptop.
They'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But for
I think in the 5470 and onwards, maybe in a little bit before that.
Yeah.
anyway, the people were discovering to their chagrin that even newer machines couldn't run this because Microsoft had released this PC check tool, like see if you're eligible for a Windows 11 upgrade, because it's a free update. It's really just Windows 10.1, but they're calling it Windows 11. And as PC World and others have reported, so I go back to full screen here. Come on. As PC World and others have reported, the health check has been pulled. They pulled it. They're looking for broader CPU support. They're not quite sure yet if they're going to go as far back as 7th gen Intel.
Oh my.
But, right now it's 8th gen and up and Zen 2
So
and up.
2019 and newer,
Yeah. I mean,
more or less. Two
'Cause
frickin' years.
because a high-end PC from 2017 is just not capable of running an update to Windows 10. I'm wondering what kind of super telemetry they have that requires all that extra hardware power.
Or disk level encryption or something like that.
Come on, you can do that easily on much older kit.
I'm just reaching for something. No idea.
You are.
Yeah, I know.
If you look at, here's Thurrott.com reporting on the 28th, Microsoft may change the Windows 11 minimum system requirements, and he goes on about it, but ultimately they're backpedaling. They're beginning to backpedal already. My question for the group is, does it make more sense for Microsoft to require users, because the way things stand right now, at least 2nd gen Ryzen processors, I don't know if Zen Plus or if Zen 2 is the floor, and then at least 8th gen Intel processors as the minimum hardware requirement along with a TPM 2.0 chip. So do you think this is totally fine? Do you think this will just drive further adoption of TPM chips and increase... this seems like the worst time ever to be forcing people to upgrade hardware, first of all. It's hard to find the CPU you want. Everything's in short supply. Prices are high.
Hey, good luck in finding a TPM module because the scalpers already bought them all.
They went from $20 to $100 in a day for those little USB modules you plug into your board.
No, they're not USB. There's an actual TPM
it's a
header.
Yeah.
Really? There's a separate TPM
Most
header?
motherboards
This is how little I
have a
know
header
about
on
TPM. I thought it was built into certain boards.
Hey, you do hard motherboard reviews, don't you? You didn't notice the TPM header on the Atrox?
I don't do hard motherboard reviews. Only Hard OCP did hard motherboard reviews.
Boom.
I've done like 2 motherboard reviews, maybe 3, and they were below average motherboard reviews. I miss you, Maury, if you're watching. You did very thorough motherboard reviews, but it's excruciating. To do a motherboard review, you have to do a CPU review, a GPU review, a storage review, a memory review, an audio review, a networking review. And all for something that's probably going to get less views than just throwing up some quick benchmarks on a GPU.
Don't forget 50 BIOS pictures. At least.
Yes.
And then all and CPU cooler fitting. You have to do that too.
Yeah.
And Maury threw on top of all of that, he did overclocking, stress testing, and CPU CMOS battery placement in every review.
I don't think you mentioned ports yet, by the way. Ports.
Well, I mean,
you
you have to. If it has a special
No, he's
controller
not
like a
in his
2x2,
own lane.
And now
Yeah,
we
how
have to
they're
do
wired.
RGB controllers and software.
Yep.
Lord. Anyway, Windows 11. What do you think? Do you think they're going to backpedal and allow do you think they would ever allow even Skylake? Because if they go 7th gen, Skylake high-end desktop is Skylake 7th gen. So and then why wouldn't you allow a 6700K if you're allowing a 7700K? At what point?
I don't know. When did they implement their version of FTPM? The CPU based TPM that actually uses the Intel
It's been around
management
longer
engine.
than that.
The Intel version, yeah.
I forget what Intel
been a
calls
while.
it. It's something stupider.
PPF?
No, it's called...
PFF?
no, I know what you're
Oh,
talking
come on. Yeah, anyway.
Oh,
Secure... no, I don't remember. right now.
Platform, extension, SPI. I don't know.
PTT.
PT. See, I was pretty close with the PFF.
Yeah, you were damn
PTT.
close.
I'm down with PTT. Yeah, you know me.
Yeah, you know me.
I like Jeremy's
PFD.
article, this take on it, because if they don't change their requirements, it literally is going to just turn into mountains of e-waste. as people
The best one. The best requirement that no one is actually bringing up, but is a thing. Your laptop is required to have a front-facing webcam on it. If you bought a gaming laptop that did not have a webcam front-facing on it, you're not allowed to run Windows 11.
Wow. There are people who specifically...
And it's not just shite webcam. It's got to be a 1080p or better.
For what?
A 1090p?
1080.
A 1090
1080.
Ti. A 1080 Ti
Exactly.
webcam.
Windows Hello, obviously.
Don't make that an
Oh.
effing requirement, Microsoft.
Apparently, it will be.
There are
and
people
your
who
TPM
would
key for
absolutely
BitLocker will probably be
refuse-
tied to this nostril hair.
Yeah. When you get into biometrics and facial recognition, there are people who are very leery of that kind of stuff. Apparently, they're going to be the ones who are clinging to Windows 10, like there are some people who still cling to Windows XP.
There's not a single laptop in where I work that does not have a piece of tape or a specific gadget that's been bought to physically cover over
Right.
that 720p webcam, because Dell
hardware-wise-
doesn't do 1080s.
So as long as it
It's still-
recognizes that it's there
Yeah.
and you have it covered, then you're okay?
But it's 720p.
Possibly.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's
There's
720p
going to be
because
scripts that just fake a camera.
yeah. What
people-
corporation is going to spend extra on the HD option? Which is the other great part about this is,
None.
yeah, you got a 90% market share, the vast majority of which is business. Now, Microsoft was a little bit upset about the slowness of the adoption of Windows 10, seeing as how it's still going on to this day. You're going to go to the bean counters and say, so yeah, we just did a total laptop refresh 2 years ago, and we're really appreciative of that. But in order to run Windows 11, we're going to have to buy everyone else a brand new laptop again. Oh, and probably buy a couple little extra modules because, you might not be able to enable TPM in the way that they want to in the BIOS because, OEM BIOSes are a little bit interesting. And by the way, it'll probably automatically trigger BitLocker, and since we use a different type of encryption software, that generally leads to brick drives. Oh no, this is going to be an easy sell. If they thought Windows 10 adoption was pathetic, they have no idea what's coming here. And that is part of what Hackaday was going on about, is the amount of e-waste that this is going to create is obnoxious. Like, the people are going to be throwing things away left, right, and center, and we're already in a horrible position where, there's literal mountains of garbage and kids, whose life is, and our stuff is dependent on them going and stripping stuff out so that we can get a hold of the rare metals and gold and that again to put in the new generation of processor, which you can't even get a hold of at this exact moment.
I wonder if Microsoft's just throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks and what kind of response they're getting, because they're getting a response.
Oh, they
And it
are.
would be silly of them to start, to not take advantage of the feedback that they're getting. Because some very large CTOs, not speaking, physically large CTOs, but CTOs of large companies are calling them up and their product managers and their reps and saying, what's this? This is not good. This is, a massive amount of money that we'd be spending, and we're just still getting out of a pandemic. But hey, we probably got a loan from the government, and we didn't have to pay it back. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so
Hey,
everything's fine.
government
We got better
themselves,
things to do with that.
they're also a big buyer, and they're not going to get on board with enforced particular kinds of encryption. They still want to be able to do their own. So, yeah, that's not going to fly very well there either.
At one point, it seemed like Microsoft was willing to do just about anything to get people onto Windows 10. They threatened and cajoled. They even installed what was essentially malware on people's computers with a forced update to Windows 8.1 machines or 8.0 machines that kept on reminding them down by the clock. It would just pop up, and if you didn't pay attention to what you were doing and clicked on the wrong thing, suddenly you're in Windows 10 upgrade install mode.
Yep.
And a lot of people, including like family members that I know, just were like, yeah, I Windows 10 now. Like, there was an update. Like, no. These are people who I'd specifically warned them. Like, you have 8.1, it's all updated, leave it alone. And then that forced update came down, and people started clicking right and left. The adoption of Windows 10, I don't think if they hadn't forced the issue, I think 8.1 was just fine for a lot of people. It brought back the start menu, and it ran okay. Good hardware support
And I
finally
mean-
at that point.
They might be doing the same thing with Windows 11 because it's like, oh look, we gave you Windows 8. Everyone hates it. No one can actually use it. But here's 8.1, and all of a sudden everyone loves it because it is so amazing in comparison to what you were just dealing with.
Yeah, that's the other thing. What if Windows 11 is intended to be such an onerous, unpleasant CF that they look back at Windows 10 and say, no, my Windows 10, just like all the Windows XP holdouts who were absolutely not, like they saw what Vista was and they said, no way, and they downgraded. And Windows 7,
And then
though, was really
Windows
popular.
11 and a
but-
half comes out.
Yeah, it's...
That's true.
Windows 8.1 really could have been another version. Obviously, they were never going to do a 9 because companies stay away from 9, I guess. But 8.1...
Well, there's a portion of the planet that really doesn't like that number.
Yeah, I know. So that made sense, but 10 isn't that much more of an update over 8 than 8.1 was. If it was like 8.05 and then 8.1.
But
Anyway,
storage spaces,
sure.
which we
yeah.
all use on a daily basis.
Isn't that something that trickled down from server?
Yeah.
It was in like server 2008, I think, or
I wouldn't know
2012.
exactly which one, but yeah.
I've configured storage spaces before in a home server, but that was pre-Windows 10. Anyway,
Well, instead of e-waste, maybe it's an opportunity for a Linux remaking company to step in and hoover all those up and
They want-
reissue them
well-
as Linux desktops.
But why? Windows 11 runs Android apps natively. You don't even need it anymore. Because that's something we've
Does
all
it-
asked for, right?
is it just me who looks at this stuff and just shakes my head because I feel like I can see how obvious it is that they have Apple envy, and PC hardware enthusiasts who scorn and deride Apple would be surprised by this. Why is the multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar business that Microsoft has and the massive market share that they have, why are they concerned with what Apple is doing? Yeah,
Well, it's the money. They see what Apple's making in the software side, and their Windows Store has not taken off.
no.
And then if suddenly you have a computer and you can run some of your favorite Android apps, and you can buy them for $3, $4, whatever, then Microsoft's getting a tremendous amount of money that they used to not get. Because Epic will tell you exactly how much Apple is making, and it's billions a year
Oh yeah,
in software.
their 30% cut. All those devices.
And I mean, currently they're making it more attractive by saying you can put whatever app it is up on the Windows Store and we're not going to take any cut.
Well, right
For
now, yes.
For now.
If they had
Once it's
better
up there,
adoption,
though.
if they had, higher sales through the Windows Store, then I think they would charge a cut. But
The rest of the online stores are 20 to 30%. Amazon,
Yeah.
Google's, Android, Apple, obviously.
But that money that you spend to get it up there is actually a value add to you. Because
I don't know
now
what
it's on a
Valve's cut
trusted
is.
platform. 20, 25.
Yeah,
I think it's 25.
all right, it's not unusual.
Because Epic blathers about being slightly less.
Yeah.
at least with Windows 11, the one good thing I've gleaned so far is that with Windows 11, even though it cuts out 32-bit CPU support, which 64-bit CPUs are quite old at this point.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, but they have not cut out 64-bit or 32-bit software support like Apple did with Big Sur.
Right.
So
Right.
if you're on an Apple platform and you're running their latest operating system, you're screwed. Because, you've got, on the new M1 processors, you have Rosetta 2 to run x86 code, but only if it was properly signed 64-bit application that was approved for Big Sur on x86.
But on one hand, as an engineer, I admire their cutting off of technical debt.
Who?
There's a certain
Microsoft or Apple?
No, Apple.
The
Apple.
chutzpah?
I-
breaking
I don't
news.
mind
Stop
that.
everything. Brett admires Apple for something. All right, please continue.
In all honesty, from an engineering perspective, from a purely technical state, no matter how painful it was, cutting off technical debt is a good thing. It is reasonable. It's a reasonable thing.
They
to try
can do
and
it because they don't have the market share. They can say, you know what? For our
It's
8%
not-
of the PC world out there, or whatever it is, 6 to 10% at any given point in
whatever.
time, we
It's-
can do
it's
this.
not nothing.
We're going to take away the floppy drive.
Sure.
And the 6% of you out there who use one of our computers just need to understand that
Oh.
we're doing this for your benefit down the
I
road.
hate to tell you, I hate to point this out, but the rest of the industry eventually falls in line with
because
whatever they
of
decide
Apple
to do.
envy. Apple is the trendsetter. They're the cool
Yeah.
kid in high school, and
well.
they come in wearing something ridiculous, and suddenly all the other kids are wearing it.
I
So
don't have to make any excuses. It is
Apple
what it is.
comes out with the T2 chip and talks about how all of their machines are ultra secure for all of these reasons. And then Microsoft says, well, I'm just waiting for W1 silicon. I joked about this earlier on Twitter. Like,
I think you.
rumor, Windows will be exclusive to Microsoft's first custom silicon, the W1 chip.
The W1.
Well, I mean, considering how a lot of their current Surface tablets won't be able to run Windows 11, they're obviously going to have to come out with something new. So that might be the opportunity they're looking for.
It's trendy. Google is coming out with custom silicon for their next Pixel phone. Apple has custom silicon, obviously, on iOS forever and on iOS devices and now on their Macs. So
Yeah, but it was NVIDIA that actually went out and bought a custom silicon company.
Well, so did Apple.
well, right.
Yeah,
yes,
right,
and my
that's fair.
PA Semi is
Semi.
what started all of this for
Yeah.
them. But
I'm trying to think
Yeah.
who did Nvidia buy? I mean, other than Nicera.
ARM.
Well, no, they haven't bought them yet.
I
And
mean, the
plus,
biggest-
they don't make
well,
custom
okay,
cores.
fair.
They just make.
the IP that's in almost everything.
The
yeah.
design.
They do.
The design, yeah.
It's like literally that's the grandfather of customization. But yes, technically correct. They didn't buy them yet.
Right. Things are going to get weird. Things are already weird. I just
Weirder.
It's going to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And I'm one of those people
Have
who
you
doesn't even
been to
use
my
secure
house
boot.
lately?
So I'm just like, I don't want to build a PC with a TPM enabled and secure boot and
Who bought Killer Networking? Who is that? Somebody just said
Intel.
it in Discord. Oh, okay.
Intel.
Intel.
Rivet Networks,
Ah,
makers
yeah.
of Killer networking products.
Yeah.
So all the Intel stuff is now Killer. So it's the Intel Killer 1675X, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, like that first generation Threadripper I've got is like I think the last time you'd see Killer down AMD, which
I will
is
s-
mostly a good thing.
I will say, I'm glad somebody bought them because they were nice guys. I met up with Rivet at least once at CES. Very passionate about what they were doing and definitely trying anything they could think of to make inroads in the industry. And because they had mixed reviews for their products back in the day when it was a standalone networking card. They were considered like snake oil by a lot of people. But to have the last
Their
review,
marketing was
Yeah, but they were a DPU before DPUs were a thing.
true.
And so, I mean, in theory, what they were able to do and what they could offer was really cool, but nobody ever had a killer app that really took advantage of it.
But
Yep.
Nice. I mean, you could do some really
Thanks,
great
Josh.
demos with the Killer Control Center, but it was only have a game running where you could check the ping like TF2, and then run the killer software on this one PC that has the NIC in it, and then watch your ping drop. And it would drop pretty significantly while you were doing other stuff, like play a YouTube video in the background and then watch the ping while you're playing TF2 with and without this enabled, and it would always be 20
and we could do
milliseconds
this
over.
without deep packet inspection. And through our smart technology, we prioritize your packets depending on what they were needed for.
Yeah. I just remember I'll probably cut this out, but my last review unit from them, I never finished the review. It was a new network card, their last one. They were already using Intel chips at this point, but it was still branded Killer. They hadn't been purchased yet. They were just in this deep partnership with Intel. And they sent me a PC, and I told them, hey, I've already got this MSI Godlike board. They sent me a PC that was almost the identical build that I already had. It was like a 3900X in an MSI X570 Godlike board. And I'm like, I already have this. I guess maybe I can connect the two together and do some throughput testing on the 2.5 gigabit or something. Because that was one of those killer everything boards, like the 3 different controllers. the killer NIC, the killer 2.5 gigabit NIC, and the killer Wi-Fi. And they sent a router along with it. And I was being slow to get this done because network testing is pain.
Awful.
And it was like interference issues everywhere. I couldn't get anywhere near the rated throughput of this Wi-Fi thing, and I had to switch bands and move everything around. Anyway, finally they were just like, we need that back. It's our only test system for this. Like, really? And like
That's not suspicious.
They had sent over this other box. I can't remember what it was. It was some kind of network isolation box, a desktop, and a Netgear Nighthawk router. And they were like, our engineers need this back. So finally, I'm just like, I'm putting it back in the box. Send me a label. I'm sorry. I'm not going to get the review done here. You can have your only test system back. So, and then a little while after that, I'm finding out that Intel is acquiring them. Like, all right. Well, it sounded like they were pretty much out of money. So I'm glad that somebody bought them. That snarky anecdote over. Do we have any other thoughts on Windows 11, or should we move on to story number 2?
They have work to
I think
do.
we'll be talking about it long enough.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. We'll hear more and more about it, I'm sure, as Microsoft continues to backpedal.
Mm-hmm.
This was a feel-good story. I had received an email in advance from HP, and Jeremy was kind enough to get this up. HP, do you remember back in like CES 2015 or so, and Ryan was holding up this ultra-light laptop, and he kept on talking about the fact that it was so light it felt like one of those department store dummies, like it was just like hollow plastic. I think it was like Fujitsu or somebody who had this thing. And HP now has one of those like sub 2 pound ultralight magnesium laptops. And it's an all Ryzen machine, of all things.
Mm-hmm.
The Pavilion 13 Aero. Under 1 kilogram, all AMD, as in it's an AMD CPU, AMD GPU. I wonder how much these things cost. Did they have that?
You know,
in the
whenever
press
whenever
release?
I see magnesium, I always think, what if I apply 473 degrees Celsius to it?
Well,
oh my gosh,
Josh,
the
there's a
burn.
mix of aluminium in it too, so it will be
Oh,
interesting.
that would be awesome.
Right.
It will
What's
keep you
what's
warm
aluminium
throughout the
again?
night.
What's aluminium? Oh, do you mean
don't,
aluminum?
don't act like you don't know. How many Johnny Ive presentations have you watched?
Aluminium.
I'm
He
not
also
seeing any
orders the
chamfered edges on
titanium.
this.
Oh,
No,
I'm seeing
you
the
won't.
opposite of chamfered edges.
Yeah.
Those are the opposite. That's like the Frank Lloyd Wright of chamfered edges.
But listen
I
to
like
some
how
of
the
these
USB
specs.
plugs pop out.
Yeah, that,
It's
and
not,
they're full
it's
size.
not a network plug that pops. The USB plug has
They're
to pop.
actual Type A ports. There's
Yep.
2 Type
Weird.
A's and a Type C and a full-size HDMI and an SD, or it's a micro SD, but they have an SD card slot.
Weirdos.
Yeah, and there's a separate power, so you don't have to use up that USB-C to power it.
Oh my goodness.
You
What will
can,
they think of next? And,
Oh, there's
and on
headphone
top of
jacks.
everything else, I was like, man, this sounds great. And then I found out it had a 16:10 aspect ratio screen.
Oh,
And I was even
yeah,
more
oh, now
sold on it.
Now you've got my interest.
2304 by 1440. Peak brightness of 400
Well, unless they
nits.
fudged it. That's the technical for
Okay.
their EHD at that. Because,
Okay.
yeah, unfortunately, under the pricing and tech specs was a please check back later, closer to release, and we will update it. And it still said that the last time I looked.
Okay. But it's nice that a really premium option is coming out. And typically this kind of stuff comes out and it's got like a powered by Intel logo in the lower right hand corner of all of the press materials. And this one is, no, it's all AMD.
And I'm shocked
Nice.
that you didn't make a comment about the keycap material.
What
Seeing
is
as
it?
that's one of your fetishes of
Who?
it's you fetishize the keyboards a bit. Not as much as some.
Not
but
as, no, I think you're confusing me with Chris.
Is it
Oh,
Formalite?
Chris.
Is that
it's
that stuff
ocean-bound
that was-
plastic.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
It's
How does
made
it,
out
but
of
how does it
ocean-bound-
feel?
Probably a little slimy.
Does,
But yeah, I guess
you said
they
ocean
flew out.
bound, not
Yeah,
from the
they
ocean.
flew out to that giant ocean or the giant island of plastic crap in the middle of the ocean,
Okay.
scooped some of it out, and made the
It's
plastic
made out of
bits
those.
that.
Those 6-pack plastic holders, those that's made
May or may not contain turtle.
weird.
Somebody, David in the chat, is it Windows 11 ready? No,
yeah.
actually, no. This just in. It's not supported. There's some arbitrary reason why it's not. I'm sorry.
See,
You
I don't
can't run
know if did
Windows
they put a
11.
camera at the top because they got the ultra thin bezels now. So
Oh, I don't know.
it might
No, they put it
not.
at the base
The
like
nose
Dell
cam.
used to do.
Yeah,
The nose cam.
yeah.
Up the
Featuring
nose cam.
1080p nose cam technology.
When are they going to bring back Bakelite? That was what I was trying to think of.
Oh, I missed that.
Bakelite.
And I mean,
Bakelite
that
laptop.
Bakelite, that phone is still there. I mean, the color's faded on it, but it's still there. It hasn't degraded at all.
Yeah.
I was watching a Technology Connections toaster video, the 1948 Sunbeam Radiant Control toaster. You should watch this video; it's great, and it
Is
has
it
the
fantastic?
Bakelite handles. This was the toaster where it had no
Electricity.
what is the thing called? You the
Oil?
lever.
The
You simply
Smoky
put
treats?
your
The
toast in
lever?
it, and it
The
automatically
de-escalator.
Oh, and it
It
sank
Oh.
draws
down.
it in, toasts your
Wow.
bread, and then lifts it back up again, completely
broke new ground.
hands-free.
And back then, it would have had the radium ink on it, so that you could actually see things in the dark.
Maybe, but it was all based on the skin temperature of the bread. It had a sensor inside, and once the skin temperature of the bread was reflected back enough to warp this little metal band, it would trip the switch, and it would cause the thing to turn off and the bread to raise up again. It was extremely clever design, and the Technology Connections videos goes into excruciating detail and reads the patent, so you know exactly how it works.
There you go.
All right, Florida man is out. He smoked too much bath salts.
What do you mean too much? Florida man.
We don't want to know, Jeremy. We don't want to know.
He's Florida man. There is no too much bath salts down there until you get busted raping the alligator for the second time.
Okay, this is another cut point right here.
It has been all of this. I'm not going to keep the
okay.
Technology Connections thing in unless I'm going to
Oh.
overlay the video and then anyway.
Nah.
Let's pause right here that doesn't make any sense. Here. We'll pause now.
You're here.
To hear from our first podcast sponsor.
That would be Text Expander, getting it right every time. Go take a look.
And by first I mean only, I guess.
Yes, tonight is
Not our
one.
first ever podcast sponsor, but it's a whatever. Good enough.
This show
Nobody
seems
cares.
like it's the first time we've done this, but
Yeah.
sure.
It's fine. Everything's fine. Yes, I watch a lot of Technology Connections videos with my son during the day.
That's cool.
You know, some people they watch soaps, and I have nothing against soaps. Days is a favorite, but
Hey,
Technology Connections videos are a lot more informative than the doings of I don't even know who it is anymore.
try How It's Made. How It's
Sam's
Made was
still
a
on
great
there.
show.
Is it still Sam and EJ? Are they the power couple? It's been a long
I
time.
don't think it is
I don't know.
anymore.
No.
I don't think so.
Okay, that's too bad.
But you should try that.
It still
that
still
was
makes me
also a very
mad.
good show.
Worcestershire. Worcestershire sauce is
Yeah,
made
that.
of fish.
Horses?
Of Bakelite?
I don't like fish, but damn it, it's interesting to see how Worcestershire sauce is made.
Worcestershire or
It's
Worcestershire.
I've always pronounced it
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire sauce.
It's
Worcestershire.
Worcester. And
Worcestershire
there's a
sauce.
very good reason for
Worcester.
this.
This is
Yes.
why everyone listens
Tell us,
to our
Jeremy.
podcast.
Oh, this is right now. This is it right
Yes.
here.
No, there's a reason for it. It's because over in Britain, really insane, inbred rich people are considered nobility and allowed to name things.
If you're familiar with the English comedy author P.G. Wodehouse, Pelham Granville
Yeah.
Wodehouse, his character, one
Wodehouse?
of the characters in the stories, I think he was a member of the Drones Club, Bartholomew Fotheringay Phipps, but the way his name was actually pronounced was Barmy Fungi Phipps. So that gives you an idea, like Worcestershire, Worcester, Bartholomew, Barmy. So it seems to be
And not to mention Mr. Luxury Yacht.
A1. Okay, Toad Sloth.
Pronounced
brings up a great point.
Reginald.
I feel like
Luxury.
Throat Wobbler
People-
Mangrove.
People who like Worcestershire sauce like A1. I think because I've noticed that there's a correlation. I think between the two. A1 has that same quality to it. And I think it's the fish.
Yep.
I think there's like a fish oil in A1.
Yeah,
Probably.
there is.
It's like
Well,
molasses,
as opposed
fish
to
oil,
HP,
vinegar,
which just
tomato.
isn't the same. But if you really want to get experimental, you should go for garum. Garum
that?
is an old Roman recipe where they essentially take random herring and just small fish and let it rot in a barrel for a while. And then they
Sounds
skim
delicious.
the crap of that off, and then they ferment that crap, and then they serve it
See,
to enhance flavors.
I can barely tolerate kimchi, and that's just vegetables that have been fermented. I would never eat fermented fish. I can't.
Oh, you're
I guess if I was
never gonna come
starving.
to Sweden to have lutefisk with me.
I'm sorry.
No. And what's the Sursuring?
Yeah.
The Icelandic shark.
Or Sursuring. It's I think it's what it's called anyway.
Oh,
Oh, by the way,
back.
You're
By the
getting
way,
name
Jeremy-
so wrong, I can't think of it.
Jeremy, I showed my wife the intro to last week's podcast because I always show her the burger update. I'm very proud of myself with the burger update every week because of whatever music I came up with. But then you were talking about the pickled smoked eggs. You're just like, that's very interesting, huh? Like just very interested in that part. So I don't know if we're gonna try it.
Did you do it?
I don't have a smoker.
You should do it.
But
No, Josh has the smoker.
right, but I don't
got
know
the
how well
smoker.
those would travel. If I am like, Josh, I'm gonna send you some eggs. You smoke them for me and send them back.
Yeah.
There
Yeah, if
was
you pickle
there
them
was
good
some
enough.
disagreement to the efficacy of 8 minutes of meat smoking talk. By the way,
No,
just
that was
throwing
not
it
enough.
there.
I understand the comment. There wasn't enough. That's why we're adding all of this extra food talk in this week, just in case.
Thank you, Josh. It's Surströmming.
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 Worcestershire.
Terrible.
All right.
They crack that open and people get sick.
I don't know if we're back or if we've been back.
It's canned, and the way that you
Welcome-
know that
welcome
it's
back.
finally ripe is when it starts to bulge,
I'm,
and
Yeah.
the botulism is starting to set in.
botulism is trendy. You know, injections.
It's not just for Botox
Sickness.
injections anymore.
Sickness is trendy. Sure is. Yep. Okay.
Oh, well, we weren't, okay,
It's okay.
maybe
We'll be
we'll
going
keep
back to
this.
tapeworms for weight loss anytime now.
All right.
Been
We're gonna have to cut
right
all,
and left.
We're gonna have
Yeah.
to cut all this
Okay.
off. Cut.
Okay.
Cut.
Moving along.
Moving along to our
Hey!
next news story,
News
which
stories.
is okay. These things you might. What would you guess these were at first glance if you didn't know what they were? Don't look at the.
That's
External
a HEPA
hard drive.
filter.
Air purifiers.
Yes,
That's a HEPA filter.
it looks like an air purifier, but these two devices together.
So you're saying I shouldn't shuck my hard drives out of that?
I don't know if they have hard drives in them. You remember
Oh,
Apple?
if it's
Brett
a
would know this.
Western
Apple
Digital-
sold routers
Only
with
way to
hard
find
drives in
out.
them. At one
They
point.
did. If it's a Western Digital, though, run away.
Yes,
turn it
yes.
off,
No, this is an
unplug it.
Asus. This is the
Set
Zen
it on
Wi-Fi ET8, and even though it's ET8, it's all about 6 because this is 6 gigahertz. This is a Wi-Fi 6E mesh network. These two devices work in conjunction with each other, and you might be thinking, "Oh yeah, but you lose bandwidth when you have to communicate." No, no, no. You know about
If your
backhaul.
if your
You know about
backhaul's Wi-Fi,
Extra
you lose bandwidth.
Wi-Fi channels built into these things. Not 2, not 4, 7.
Oh.
It says here, I find this is just incredible. Featuring a new 6 gigahertz frequency band with up to 7 extra 160 megahertz channels that massively increases device capacity and reduces network latency. Can you imagine? And if you could get, and here's the transmit receive, 2x2 at 2.4, 2x2 at 5, okay, 4x4 at 6 gigahertz.
Oh.
So 4 transmit, 4 receive lanes of 160 megahertz channels. I'm not sure exactly how they're doing it with a 6 antenna setup. I don't know enough about routers to know if you can do that without 8
Or
antennas.
what frequencies they're using. They're not allowed to kind of just go like, oh, let's just pick a frequency. That's very tightly controlled by the FCC as to what frequencies they're allowed.
Well,
So I'm
whatever they're
curious as to-
doing, it's apparently capable of up to 4,804. Don't forget the 4 megabits per
4.
second.
Is that outbound to the clients or is that backhaul between them? Or is that
That's the 4x4 6E
Combined.
connection.
Do
Okay.
you have to wrap your house in a metal mesh?
You
to
would
run
think
this.
that the 160 hertz channel
Does-
on 6
Does
gigahertz,
Amazon sell that right now?
this right now,
Does Asus get a cut?
it will
Go
be
ahead.
on Amazon next month. It is. Guess how much this is? Think of all the capabilities that I just described.
$550.
Wow, Josh is very close. But
Actually,
by Price
how
is
much?
Right rules, you lose. It's the closest without going over. And I've already given too much away. Brett, how much?
572.
You just went higher than Josh. Have you ever watched Wheel of Fortune? Or not
is
Wheel of
not.
Fortune.
I thought you
Price is
said
Have
he
Right.
you
was
ever
close.
watched Price
Price
is
is
Right?
Have you ever watched
I
The
thought
Price
you
is
said
Right?
he was close.
I said
Oh, but
it's the
it's
closest without
551.
going over.
Right.
$1. $1.
Jeremy
You didn't
wins!
say-
Jeremy, you son of a bitch! Jeremy wins with the $1 bid. This is $529 US. Goes on sale next month. But think of the capabilities. I was excited about this MikroTik wireless router that my installer for fiber recommended to me because it had its own backhaul, and he said it was great and you could get close to the full bandwidth. But it still wasn't. I mean, you still have to have everything going for you. You have to have the right adapter, and I don't even know if a 4x4 6 gigahertz adapter exists for a PC,
Right.
or what it would even be
Laptop.
in.
Yeah.
2x2 5 gigahertz devices are the fastest I've used. So, and it has a 2.5 gigahertz or 2.5 GBE port on the back, but that's all. That's the WAN. So I was excited about that when I realized, oh, that's the WAN, and the 3 LAN ports are
Probably just
gigabit.
gigabit.
They're gigabit.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You know,
That
you
makes
could get you could get a different mesh network, maybe not pay so much because wired backhaul is better.
Wired
Probably.
backhaul
It's more.
isn't wireless, Brett.
Yeah, but it's still better. It's more.
This okay. I will
Consistent.
say in their defense, and I'll have to see if they're sampling this because I find it interesting. Because it's supposed to be like this super easy setup. You just use an app like Google Wi-Fi, only
Yeah.
it doesn't suck like Google Wi-Fi,
Oh.
which has
What-
very
what
little
would you
bandwidth
say
to begin
you
with,
wrote?
which you then share between 3 devices. Okay, next news story. This is from Jeremy. Aqua Computer leak shield, water cooling with peace of mind. Tell me more.
So, how comfortable would you feel having a vacuum inside of your computer? As in, negative pressure.
Like a Kirby?
It's
No,
good
it's
to,
in
it's a
Germany,
good
so
practice
it's
to
not
vacuum out your computer. So yes, I'd be very confident. They're like those minivans that came with the integrated vacuum
Yeah.
cleaner in them. Yeah,
No,
just like
in-
that.
I think he means
It's not
lack of
exactly
oxygen.
because what this is, it's a water cooling system, but it's got a vacuum pump in it, not a positive pressure pump like everything else in the world.
What's the problem?
The idea is that, and if you pop over to the review, and I forget which page it's on, the action one, there's a little video of it. So the idea is that, assuming you've bought the correct tubing that doesn't collapse while it's under negative pressure, if you spring a hole in your water cooling loop, it's going to notice this, and it's going to actually maintain a negative pressure so that all that's happening is, instead of fluid leaking out into your system, air is being pulled in to your water cooling loop. So in order to pull this off, of course, there you go right there. Leak shield on, pokey the hole, leak shield off, and components are a little bit unhappy. So it's
That's
interesting.
amazing.
You have to follow some very specific rules. Obviously, if you throw a second pump in the loop, this is not going to work. You need to use theirs. They have software to adaptively monitor pressure along the entire loop so that they can, because not every single place is going to be punctured, so they'll actually try and apply a slightly higher negative pressure to the area where it's showing that there is a leak going on. There's some additional additions where if it detects a leak, it'll shut your system off. Or if you want to actually be able to loop in some extra stuff, you all are locked into Aqua Computer. It's a little bit annoying because being able to only source from one place kind of sucks, but at the same point, it's no less. Now, if you do mix it in, so that you don't use the pure stuff, you can't use the leak shield, but at the same time, it's got a shield mode where it's just monitors the pressure throughout the entire looping system still, and will just shut everything down if you bought the adapter that shuts the machine down. So that, yes, it's leaking, but the system is shut off. And finally, there's just sort of a mode that will put certain areas of the loop into ambient atmospheric pressure to let you bleed out the air hole that's come in from a leak, or just generally appeared, or to top off your coolant or whatever. So it's really interesting in a way, and it is good at peace of mind that if you get a little if you spring a little leak, you're actually not going to be leaking fluid all over your system. But at the same time, it's quite expensive, and when you purchase it, you get, I think it was an 18-month subscription to their software updates. After that, you have to pay to continue to get software updates, which is not really a great move, but a lot of companies are doing just fine by this, so why in the hell not do it? And the other part is that they've designed it, like as Woot Doc just asked. No, they've specifically designed it so that, yes, if a leak happens, if air bubbles come in, it's not going to damage the pump. It's designed to accept this because, well, it did it to itself. So it's rather interesting. They couldn't really do any performance measures on it because this is more about how it works. And since you're going to be doing a very customized water loop with it, your results are definitely going to vary compared to anyone else. So it's really good peace of mind for anyone that's terrified of water cooling because they don't want even non-conductive liquid free in their machine. But at the same time, I don't know, I think it's a little bit overboard. It was definitely worth talking about, but for me, it seems a little bit overboard.
It was great until the software thing came up. Why on earth would this require anything more than just running their monitoring software like Corsair IQ? Like just something like that doesn't cost anything.
Do you think Corsair IQ can deal with negative pressures and monitor what's going on?
The subscription thing just seems wrong.
Oh, I don't disagree. I do not disagree at all, but it's also been very successful for some other companies.
Right, but how many of them are water cooler manufacturers selling negative pressure loops? You'd want to drive adoption of this. Why would you drive people away by saying, oh, by the way, you have to pay per month to use this?
Oh, that sucks.
Okay, well...
MBAs, they ruin everything. Especially German MBAs.
Yeah. Don't make
the worst.
Don't make liquid cooling a freemium business model, please.
Huh.
All right. Hackaday. This is great. Hackaday. Jeremy posted this. A Lego microscope.
Yeah.
This is great. An actual functioning microscope made out of Lego.
And an iPhone 6s lens.
Really? An iPhone 6s lens is good enough to do this?
I mean, it's something that you would build with your child to get them interested in microscopy. But so it's not amazing. They, if you really want, they do have a link in this to a build instruction for a lab grade one. That one you're probably not going to be building with your kid. The other really fun thing about this is that they were smart enough to set it up exactly like you were buying a Lego kit. And so everything is there, the parts, the steps, how to do it, step by step by step. Have you ever run into, what do they call them? LDR files.
No.
So an LDR file is something that you can upload to the Lego site, and it will actually give you a list of, here are all the parts you need, here's the price for them. Or if you want, here are the kits that will probably contain them already, assuming you don't have a big giant bucket of Lego already.
I like the sound of this.
Lego's gotten pretty smart on this whole, they've gone 3D printing a different way, but it's like literally you upload it and they're like, here's your project stuff. Away you go. If you don't happen to have an ancient lens that's going to work from an old cell phone, they do list like a 34.5 millimeter f plus 106 millimeter lens. You can purchase it for relatively cheap. But if you got an old dead cell phone, chances are that lens is going to be good enough for, looking at bugs really close up, for taking a look at a human hair. Like the Fisher-Price microscopes that we used to get when we were kids. I just think this is amusing as hell, because if you're that type of parent, you probably have a giant bucket of Lego sitting around. Even the Illuminator is from an old Lego kit. Although you might want to buy a fancier one, because the better the light quality coming up, the better you're going to be able to see. But like for literally almost nothing and a couple hours work, you can build yourself a little Lego powered microscope and play around with it.
I want to do this now.
Well, you should.
You've got the Legos. You've got the power.
That'd be fun.
I know you've got a
You got
cell
the kid.
phone. Yeah.
I have several. I wonder if the
You have several
lens-
kids?
No, just one that I know of. I wonder if the Nexus 4... I have a dead Nexus 4. Or has a bad touchscreen. That was a pretty terrible camera. I wonder if even that lens would be adequate.
Honestly, I think so, because I mean, you probably won't get as good magnification, but any of those lenses are actually relatively good at magnifying.
All right.
The
Final
better it is,
story.
you're higher up, you might have to build the little gap there. But apart from that, yeah, it just looks like a lot of fun.
I love that there are like completely accurate Lego instructions for this. That's great. Micro Center. This is on TechSpot. Micro Center apologizes. For what? For insulting AMD graphics cards?
Yes, the CEO Rick
To their
underneath
face?
was publicly. Oh, this is scandalous. The CEO Rick, his name is Rick Mershad, in his blog wrote a not very complimentary description of the support and care and feeding that you need to give to AMD GPUs, whereas the NVIDIA ones are plug and play, a lot like console video games. I think that analogy is hysterical, considering that the latest, hottest console games are obviously completely powered by AMD. So the fact that somebody from Micro Center, the president no less, would under his umbrella post something like, oh yeah, you guys definitely want to buy NVIDIA because AMD just takes too much care in feeding, is just stupid on so many levels. They're biting the hand that feeds them. It's just the wrong thing for them to do. And they're backpedaling like mad on this.
Good. Well, yeah, they'd have to. What an inane statement. And to even bring consoles up at all, it's not just the latest. It's the last couple generations of game consoles.
Agreed.
Starting with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, and then all of their follow-on consoles like the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X.
Xbox 360 was
right
AMD graphics powered.
Yep.
Was it?
To make that comparison is ridiculous, to say, oh, buy an NVIDIA card because it runs just like a console. Don't get the AMD card. Oh, you're going to have to kind of do stuff to that to make that work. Well, apparently
it just sounds like this is a guy who's used NVIDIA graphics cards in his personal system and just remembers all of the old rhetoric about ATI, AMD graphics cards and their bad driver support. And
well, apparently he may have gotten
NVIDIA graphics
special
cards
call.
function much like video game consoles, is like the best out of that.
That's
just great.
Now, obviously, they've gone way back on this and said, "Oh yeah, it must have been like NVIDIA intern at Micro Center. Yeah, we didn't mean to post that. We didn't vet that. It had spelling errors. Clearly, we never looked at it."
But it was the CEO's Twitter account?
Yeah, I believe so. Something like that. Yeah, or his blog. I don't remember where it came from specifically. But they went on and on about how AMD wasn't supporting things like ray tracing and DLSS-like technologies, while completely ignoring their inroads with Fidelity FX and the fact that ray tracing is actually on consoles to some extent. Yeah, exactly.
Ray tracing looks really good on consoles sometimes.
So, I mean, to come out with this as a major retailer, a favored retailer. And
favored only with those elite cork sniffers who live near one and rub it in everybody else's nose that they don't.
Now, I never do that. Do I?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I probably do. All right. Whatever.
No, he sniffs the cap. Nobody corks anymore.
I'm sorry. All right.
You're only mad because you don't live near one. It's your fault.
I have one in Michigan, and it's like 2 hours and 45 minutes away. If I'm driving like a crazy person, there's no
It's not close
construction,
enough.
which there always is construction.
All right.
Okay, let's move on to picks
We're
of the week
blaming on the Russians, but I just wanted to
Picks-
say I got out in front of dumping on Micro Center.
of the week.
Okay.
Josh is first. Go.
All right. So if you've got a Dell laptop, we've been talking about those a lot lately, and you want an inexpensive memory upgrade, do not buy these modules. They just don't work. I've tried everything to get the old Clev, Hynix.
Oh, no.
Even though the Dells come
They're
with
Hynix, though.
those same Hynix chips, they've done something with this that they don't even boot up on Dells. And it's
Jeez.
just awful. So yeah, I got to return those and get others. Look at those 4.5 star 61 ratings.
Oh man, I'm
That's
sure
crap.
none of
Don't
those are
use it,
fake.
Dell.
Damn Lenovo users.
None.
Josh, are these 4-chip single-sided modules? Also,
I don't know. No.
I didn't get that far.
I
Yeah.
never looked at the other side. I didn't turn
Slap
it
them
over.
in, spit on them, rub them in the dirt.
Did you have them in upside down? Is this,
yes.
Whoa! The sale is still going on. How long is the sale going on? Not to
You know, they're keyed. By the way, you can't put them in the upside. They don't fit.
I know. All right.
Well, with a hammer.
If you try hard enough,
Yes.
anything will fit into any slot. That was not innuendo. All right, Jeremy, your pick. I think.
Yep. I mean, if at this point you don't have basic benchmarking tools, you should probably top onto Steam, because for essentially about $10, you'll get 3D Mark, PC Mark, and VR Mark.
Wow, that's cheap.
Done. Away you go.
89% off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it says 85% off. I guess if you
Yeah.
get the bundle, it's even more.
Some of their DLCs are a little bit cheaper as well, and then the brand new PC Mark that they just came out with is free.
Yes, the new
if you
CPU
have
testing
this.
tool.
But some of the ray tracing ones are still going to cost you an extra $1 or $2, but again, are also on sale. But if you just want the basic ability to be able to say, my computer can do this compared to yours, it's $10. Just grab it. It's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Excellent. I have to see if I.
And if you want to see if
have
you can make your
that.
computer crash, it's also good at that too.
UL is kind enough
If
to
you take
provide.
the overclock a little far.
If you're pressed, you get them all. You just email them and they're like, oh yeah. They have a press contact us link on their website.
And
But-
it's the professional version, not the.
Right, which has all
Yeah,
the
not the
DLC. But
over-the-counter
that's a
version.
great price for the consumer one.
It's fantastic.
Okay, who's next? Brett.
Yeah, this sale I just noticed is unfortunately only for the next few hours or until they sell out. But it's like $45 off a pretty nice looking as well as reasonably functioning 240 AIO. $80 is pretty good for a name brand like NZXT, and a lot of people like this sort of infinity mirror look. So hop on over to Woot, and over the next couple hours, pick one up for $80.
Being ignorant
Straight up.
on Woot, it says
Yes.
it's Prime Week, Prime exclusive, and it's fulfilled by Amazon. Is this just
Well, I mean,
take
who
you
doesn't have
to
Prime,
Amazon?
right?
you
No,
click on
Amazon
it?
actually. Amazon owns Woot, so stuff that's
Okay.
fulfilled
All right,
fulfilled through Woot is essentially an Amazon company. That's the deal.
I
there.
gotcha. Okay,
Yeah,
forgot.
but it's a really good price actually for the name brand AIO like that, and people kind of like the way that mirror, infinity mirror RGB kind of thing, looks. So it's $130 normally ish. So $80 is a pretty good deal.
Okay, my pick this week. I actually have two because I didn't have a pick last week. Probably not the week before earlier either. The return of the bamboo dish rack.
What?
Now, I don't know if you noticed this, but behind me, I have these bamboo dish racks with graphics cards, and you can't see, but I even have motherboards on these things up on the top shelf out of view. And they're quite handy for storing motherboards, graphics cards, sound cards. So I ordered an.
By the way, I
ordering
do
another
like your
set.
golden orb up there.
That's the Thermaltake cooler on my 900 megahertz, or is this the 950? Slot A
AMD
Athlon.
Athlon. Yep.
Slot.
I had one of those. They were a great cooler for the time.
And it looks like a camera. It looks like a lens.
There's the thumbnail.
I did like the mounting mechanism for slot A's.
It was a
for-
lot
for
easier to
getting
deal
the-
with than a lot of the other.
Yeah.
That's the reason that I started with Slot A. Is I got into building PCs in 2002 into 2003,
Oh.
and I was terrified of the socket A CPUs because of how much money I'd be spending. Because back then, even spending $100 on a CPU was big money for me. And
Oh, if
I'm
you
like,
never drove a screwdriver through a motherboard while you were trying to mount
Not all the
an
way
old,
through,
cooler
but yeah.
on.
my first build, it was harrowing. And then, of course, I sliced my finger open on the inside of the case. And anyway, these were much easier to deal with because they slid in just like slot 1, slid in, you lock them in place, and you're good.
Away you go.
Slack it to me.
Okay, so anyway, bamboo dish racks. They're on Amazon, and they're great for holding components. But my thing I was actually excited about, I've been looking for one of these things for a long time.
How long?
Try to 2 or 3 years. Try to remember. 20. It's 25 years ago. This was on Reddit a few months ago. The 25th anniversary of AMD Interwave. Back when AMD was producing a chip, a sound card solution, and there's the most ridiculous. I found they linked
Not
to
only
the,
has the Argus been released by fans of the Vogons. Oh, those were strange times.
Yes, though there was a clone Gravis ultrasound card released using this, and actually the late Gravis ultrasound cards used AMD's Interwave chip. At least certain revisions of them. It was like the Gravis ultrasound plug and play. But I actually found an Interwave card. They're super rare. You won't even find one on eBay right now. The only one that's on there is actually an ultrasound, not an Interwave. An STB and another company released these. Compaq had them. The reason I know about them is because I have a Compaq Presario 8702 desktop that I inherited many years ago from somebody that originally shipped with Interwave, and it would always try to set up the Interwave with the Restore media, but it wasn't there because they'd put in some like clone Sound Blaster card instead. And I didn't get the Interwave card with the machine, and I have never been able to find one. Tried buying a machine with an Interwave in it last year and was outbid, and when I checked the final selling price, it was $400. And the only thing of any value in this PC at all was the Interwave card. So that's about what they're going for, around $300. Anyway, I found somebody in Australia who had one, and it wasn't that much, but I was like, I am not losing it this time. And very nice lady in Melbourne sends it to me. I have it right here. I have in this anesthetic bag.
Wow.
Have you opened it? Have you opened it?
I have. I just opened it very carefully so it didn't break the anesthetic sticker. But this is, let me ground myself. Hold on. This sticker, not this sticker, this card.
It's a holy grail.
It's so rare.
Ooh.
It's so rare. It seems so innocuous, but if you could even read that. There is an AMD chip on this. Anyway, it's basically a sound or an ultrasound clone. And like I said, they use them in certain ultrasound cards. So it's wavetable stuff, but but you can find out more by going to AMD's website and looking at their Interwave audio processors.
This is not AMD's website, or
Yes, it is.
It's-
I mean, it's a cached
sort of.
version of it,
sort of.
but
Last
you
I
can-
mean, for 97, that's not a bad looking website.
yeah, it still is for 97. Yep.
let's see what the current patch situation is.
Okay, so the first computer I actually got a credit
TIE
card
Fighter.
and bought myself
Mech Warrior 2.
was 1996. I ordered it. I went to the Olympics. When I got back home, it was waiting for me.
Ooh.
And so it makes me feel really, really old when you're saying 25 years ago. 25 years ago is when I finally got into PCs full time. I feel old. It was a Quantex
Oh.
Pentium 133. And Sebastian's muted now.
He is. He's muted. He doesn't know that though.
Don't
Okay.
tell him.
Hey,
Yeah.
Josh, you did your interview. You did
What?
an interview a year or two ago with Kevin Crewell, right?
Correct.
Now, he was talking on, I don't remember why this even came up, but I had a brief exchange with him about Interwave, and he's like, I think I have one of those somewhere. And I just like, what? And I kept debating, like, do I send him a DM and ask him to sell it to me? Do I send him a DM and ask him to sell it to me?
Mm-hmm.
And I never did, but because I'm like, I'll just find one on eBay. And then I did. I found one. It was $95. Buy it now. I bought it, and I waited. And then 2 or 3 days later, the seller's like, yeah, we can't find it. We're canceling your order. Like, no, keep looking.
Keep looking.
It's like they
Just
saw
send
how
you
much
more
it was
money,
selling
just
for.
keep looking.
They're like, no, not $95, $295. I'm so insane that I probably would have actually said, all right, I'll pay $300 for it. But no. All right, well, that's our show this week. Tune in again next week for more lively discourse about PC hardware. Maybe we'll have some Windows 11 updates. Maybe Microsoft will do some more backpedaling. I don't know. But until then, good night.
Hey, good night. Hey, good night.
Hey, good night. Good night.
Say goodnight.
By the way,
Gracie.
I think the email sign up page might actually be broken.
Really?
I have to go fix that. Yeah.
Okay. I know somebody was complaining about that, and I wasn't sure what they were complaining about.
Yeah. Apparently
in the
there's an
code.
error. Yeah, it's one of those sort of things.
Okay.
Like it looks fine until you try to use it. Yeah. I'll fix that.
That's fine.
I've been busy.
Josh,
Yeah.
secret Olympic athlete. Okay.
Yes.
You know,
actually,
I was
yes.
a varsity rower on a major college team, Boston University. There, top 25 rowing school in the United States. So I was tall and skinny and somewhat athletic at the time. Now I'm just tall, kind of tall.
Josh is a tall man, and
Gravity
he has a
works.
long stride. First
I
piece.
could rip that oar through the water with
I
the
don't know.
best of them.
We were going. Ryan decided to pair me up with Josh. He's like, Josh will go with you. You're going to go to such and such meeting or whatever it was. So that first morning at CES, I get up, and Josh is like ready to go. He's got his hiking shoes on, blue jeans, of course, and just starts moving. And I'm like struggling to keep up. And Josh is just like, bam, 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 down the sidewalk. Like, okay. I'm like half trotting next to him.
I never noticed that, Josh.
Maybe I just had a short stride. I don't know.
I don't know.
As we were walking, like doing essentially an entire block down that bloody hotel hallway to try and find the idiots that were scratching the piano with the heat sinks.
Oh yeah, with the thermal take car, the
That-
coolers.
I
Yeah,
swear,
that was-
they were like, how far away can we possibly be from the elevator while still remaining in the hotel?
They probably got a better rate on the room. No, they probably didn't get a better rate on the room. Not during CES. I would get so lost in those hotels. I don't miss that aspect. I haven't been in a couple of years now. It's like
Hey, maybe we'll have a chance this year. Maybe.
I had a
Or
meeting with
next year.
the Tobii eye tracking people, and it was like, it felt like a 3-mile walk after I got into the hotel. Going down a hallway, another hallway, down an elevator. I was late for the meeting.
Yes, that happens. Though, you know, I've had enough CES time off that kind of tempted to do it again.
Yeah?
Oh,
So
God.
it's been ages. It's been 4 years since I think I last went to CES.
Jeremy's like, no, absolutely not.
Once was enough.
I enjoyed the parties and being taken out to dinner and having some good food.
Okay.
Those were nice
That's fair.
things.
I liked the digital experience show at the beginning because the hors d'oeuvres are great and there's
They're
free
usually
drinks
good. Yeah,
everywhere.
free beer.
So I just wandered through that thing for like an hour or two. Just like, this is dinner tonight. I don't have to worry about that. Just like have another hors d'oeuvre as I go around the circle.
Was it the headphones were like one of the only things we ever did, and then the Dell showed up, that first year with their really good XPSs, and
Yeah.
Ryan got all over those.
It would be
That's
like
probably the best thing
it was
that we found.
FaceTime with your PR person. That's all it was. It wasn't
Yeah.
good coverage for
Yeah.
the site. It was like meet up with your HP person and your Dell person and your Seagate and your, Alan would be wandering around when he wasn't at some exclusive storage editor dinner.
They had that such a thing.
There was such a thing, yeah.
Oh,
Storage editors only.
Yep.
Hey, storage is a big deal.
That's what I hear.
Josh, I finally got a note
Josh,
from
Knight is,
EVGA.
Okay, now what? So one at a
I-
time.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Okay, I was just going to say, Knight is showing you up, mate.
Why? What is
the
he doing
burgers
now?
from Nameless Bar are like
They look pretty good.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Alan in the
There's
chat.
Alan.
Hey, a man's
Hey,
got to
man's-
eat.
Man's
Look,
gotta eat.
I'm not knocking you for going to the dinner. Wait, Alan, were you at that dinner when we had our NVIDIA dinner that I think it was...
No,
the
he was
first
probably
year I
too
went,
busy at the
2016.
sorbet bar.
I don't remember if Alan was at our fancy dinner at Bizarre Meats with that Brian took us to from NVIDIA.
Brian, what? Bizarre Meat? Sam?
Yeah. Did you
Sa-
read there,
Samba?
Josh?
It
Bizarre-
wasn't called Bizarre Meats, but they served meats that Sebastian didn't recognize being,
No, the place was called Bizarre Meats, but it was spelled like a bizarre, not like strange, but it was
No,
like a market.
I was not there.
Really?
He says yes. Alan says yeah.
Okay, so Alan was there, I was there, Ryan was there, and Ken was there. Maybe that's who it was. It was I just remember a speed limit being set of about $120 a person, and then because I didn't eat any meat, they were just bringing me out all the sides, and they were coming out like in shifts, and these different women would be dropping stuff off, and it was like they have a mashed potato dish. I think it was described in the menu as being butter, potatoes, and more butter. It was almost entirely butter. But it was the richest, probably most incredible mashed potatoes I've ever had. And the other things too, but I don't really remember. Somebody ordered a drink that they had to smoke at the table. They brought out this box on a wheeled cart. They had to put the drink into the box and then smoke it. And there was smoke billowing out everywhere. That's the world. I don't know if I could ever get into that. Like smoked scotch.
weird.
Yeah.
Just be glad that no one ordered the suckling pig.
Oh.
Do they have that?
I
on the menu? I
would've.
would not be surprised at all.
Yeah.
They had all sorts of animal heads all
it-
over the wall.
Do they
Yeah,
slay that at
they-
the table or?
I haven't been there. I doubt it, and unfortunately, they probably don't do the proper pig's head like they do in Montreal.
Josh, what was the
What are you gonna
restaurant?
That is
What was the restaurant downstairs at the Mirage that they brought around all the meat on like swords?
Yeah, it was
skewers.
like the Sambora. It was the Brazilian
it's a
steakhouse.
Brazilian style.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
that's
was
Brazilian.
Sam something.
Which is closed. It
But
was
yeah, they
gone the
closed
last
that.
time I was there.
Yep.
They have those
I've
around
never
here,
seen a
too.
man eat as much pineapple as I saw Alan eat that night.
Yeah.
I would have loved some pineapple. The time I went,
You were a
again,
salmon eating machine. when you
they
went.
kept on bringing out plates. I was just like, I didn't
Yeah.
want to let it go to waste, so I was eating entire dinner plates full of just plain salmon for probably a good 45 minutes. I got very over full, like, just to that like painful level.
Yeah.
It looks like Alan actually remembers the pineapple.
Oh,
Oh,
he does.
he-
He loves that pineapple.
He does.
The Mirage is great. That's my favorite of the hotels because it's
Yeah.
got everything I need. The rooms are nice, but then you go downstairs. It's got a California pizza kitchen. It's got a nice sports bar, and it's always like NFL playoff season when you're there, so
Yep.
get to catch
Yep.
up on the playoff games. And they've got a Starbucks. They've got an ice cream shop down the hall. Some of the stuff that you need to go to is already there, so you can just like hang out in your room and then go down to Digital Experience. Hang out in your room and go to, whatever.
All right. Well, my family got home from a small trip. Gonna go visit them, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks
Bye,
again
Josh.
for everything.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, my neighbor just brought Pro Tools, so he's desperate to let me know, or for me to let him know when I'm off the podcast, so we can start
Oh,
playing
so was
again.
it just a recording?
Yeah,
Cool.
Nice. All right, that's our cue.
Yep.
Thanks for sticking with us.
All
Good
right.
night. Taking the
Good
stream
night.
down.
Cheers.
See you guys later.
Still taking